July 7th, 2018 was a date that would forever be etched into the history of motorcycle road racing, but not for the reasons anyone could have predicted. William Dunlop, heir to one of racing's most legendary bloodlines, had just come off a strong 2017 season and was riding higher than ever. With a total of 7 Ulster Grand Prix victories, 4 Northwest 200 wins, and over 100 Irish national road racing titles under his belt, he had earned his place among the racing legends. But behind the roar of the engine, a chilling fate was closing in. Hello and welcome back to Lost Echo. Today, let's cover the amazing journey of William Dunlop, from his birth as a racing prodigy to the horrifying last moments. William Dunlop was born on July 23, 1985, in Ballymoney County, Antrim, Northern Ireland, into one of the most storied families in motorcycle racing. As you all know, he was the son of racing legend Robert Dunlop and the nephew of Joey Dunlop, aka the King of the Roads. So it came as no surprise that William, who was curious and fearless in nature, showed interest in motorcycles and expressed his desire to follow in his father's footsteps. Then in 2000, at the age of 15, William made his competitive debut in 125cc racing, where he started learning the technical side of riding under his father's eyes and what it meant to be a racer. Rumor has it that Robert was very much involved in William's early career, where he used to offer guidance whenever he needed it. In fact, Robert retired from professional racing in 2004 in order to spend more time with his family and pass his knowledge onto his sons, William and Michael. And the very next year, in 2005, William achieved his first major race victory at Athea, which earned him the recognition he had been waiting for. People started realizing that he wasn't just Robert Dunlop's son trying to follow in his father's footsteps. He was William Dunlop, who would later become one of the most successful racers. Racing along with his brothers and cousins in the Ulster Grand Prix and Northwest 200, William gained valuable experience and learned working closely with the mechanics. But sadly, in 2008, tragedy struck the family when he lost his father in a racing accident at the Northwest 200. He later said in an interview that it was one of the hardest moments of his life, as he not only lost his father, but also his mentor and guiding light. He channeled that loss into his racing, and in 2009, while riding a PJ Flynn Honda, he won his first 250cc race at the Northwest 200, which is Ireland's fastest road race. Not many know this, but William also competed in the 250 Grand Prix at Valencia in 2009, where he again rode a PJ Flynn Big Man Racing Honda. And although he didn't achieve any major success, he gained some valuable international experience in closed circuits. Over the years, William became a familiar face on podiums, where he had achieved a total of 108 Irish national road race wins and multiple victories at the Northwest 200 and Ulster Grand Prix. Moreover, from 2006 to 2017, he also competed regularly at the Isle of Man TT, and though victory there eluded him, he came agonizingly close, with 4 third-place finishes and several runner-up results. Road racing, however, has never been a sport without risks, and like many other riders, William had his fair share of injuries. In fact, he survived many crashes from time to time, thanks to his skills, his safety gear, and perhaps some luck. Off the bike, he was loved by his fans, and he was considered a respected figure among the racing community. William carried himself with great dignity off the bike. He was a gentleman, friendly, and respectful, who instantly earned your respect without ever having to raise his voice. John McGuinness, one of the TT legends, shared while talking about William. Then, after a strong 2017 campaign, he had high hopes for the following year, and in fact, he was all set to add another victory in his bag. Until something unexpected happened. On Saturday, July 7th, 2018, just a day prior to the official race at Skerries 100, William Dunlop seemed calm and rather excited, almost like he was eager to get back into the competitive rhythm. 2018 had not been an easy year for William because of a back injury sustained during Northwest 200, which kept him off the bike for days and perhaps even weeks. On a brighter note, William decided to skip the Isle of Man TT race so he could spend some time at home with his family, particularly his long-term partner, Janine, who was pregnant with their second child. Rumor has it that after sustaining an injury, as well as losing both his father and uncle in tragic accidents, William had started second-guessing his racing career and the risks that came with it. In fact, according to his close friends and family members, his passion for the sport had started to fade a little, and he was contemplating whether to continue racing at the highest level. That being said, Skerries 100 was a whole different story, as it held a special place in his heart because of his personal achievements. Over the years, he'd secured a total of 15 victories in the Skerries 100, where it was safe to say that it was one race he truly respected and loved competing in. He had the biggest smile on his face that morning, Janine later said during an interview. However, nobody could have foreseen the tragedy that awaited him. The Skerries 100 was one of Ireland's most prestigious and historic races, which ran for 2.9 miles through the coastal village of Skerries in North County, Dublin. That particular day, after closing off the roads to local traffic, the practice session started in the late afternoon, where William was riding his Yamaha R1 backed by the Temple Golf Club. His teammate Paul Jordan was also on the circuit, running behind him with a clear view of everything happening ahead. Everyone there, from his fans to the crew members, had high expectations that he'd put on a strong performance. That being said, by the end of the second lap, Jordan as well as their teammates noticed something unusual with William's motorcycle. His Yamaha was bottoming out at the section known as the bomb hole near Sam's Tunnel. To put it in simpler terms, the belly pan of his motorcycle was striking the road surface during laps, perhaps because the bike was set up a little too low for better handling. And while bottoming out could cause a problem in most situations, it was not seen as a major concern during practice sessions, where teams were still making adjustments and acquiring data. Then during the third lap at around 4 p.m. local time, William again entered Sam's Tunnel, which was a notorious section known for its tricky elevations, rising and dipping that demands total precision from a bike at speed. During that moment, the seemingly normal practice session took a devastating turn when William's motorcycle suddenly lost traction. The incident started when the rear tire of his Yamaha lost grip because of the slippery road, which sent his motorcycle skidding off its line. As if things couldn't get any worse, he came across an uneven path of the road at Sam's Tunnel, which further caused his motorcycle to briefly go airborne. It happened so fast that in a matter of seconds, the audience who were watching didn't have any time to react before William was thrown off his motorcycle. Moments later, his motorcycle slammed into a tree at the side of the road with devastating force, coming to rest in a ditch surrounded by thick hedgerow. On the other hand, William was thrown off the machine and landed on the gravel verge beside the road, where he reportedly sustained multiple fatal injuries. Red flags went out almost immediately, and emergency crews swiftly reached the scene where they started working on William. That being said, the severity of what they found was apparent in the first moments. It was clear that there was nothing they could do, and just like that, William was pronounced dead at the scene at the age of 32, just 16 days shy of his 33rd birthday. The autopsy conducted as part of the official investigation revealed that the primary cause of death was multiple traumatic head injuries, along with a fracture on the top of his spine. Dr. Crona Gallagher, the medical investigator, described his injuries at the subsequent inquest as unsurvivable, which meant that there was never any real chance he could have made it through that horrific crash. Mr. Dunlop was not moving after the crash and only had slow or weak vital signs, she further said in her report. The investigation, which was carried out after the incident, as well as William's damaged motorcycle retrieved from the crash site, revealed some rather shocking details that helped investigators figure out what exactly had gone wrong that day. So during the first couple of laps, his Yamaha kept bottoming out on the section known as Bomb Hole, which was near Sam's Tunnel. And these reported impacts loosened the sump plug, which was the component that holds the engine oil in place. According to testimony from Jordan, as well as the data recovered from his bike, during the third lap, the sump plug came free and spilled oil on the rear tire, causing his motorcycle to lose traction. In that dire situation, it became almost impossible for William to get back in control of his motorcycle. To be more precise, a rear tire covered in oil at road racing speeds gives the rider nothing to work with. Plus, there's no correction available and no warning before the grip disappears completely. There was a blast of oil and smoke coming from William's bike just before he lost control. Paul Jordan, his teammate, later confirmed in his testimony. And while Paul managed to avoid the crash, perhaps due to his luck, he was completely shaken after seeing his teammate's fatal accident unfold before his very eyes. William was thrown approximately 100 meters, or perhaps even further, before landing on the gravel verge. And this was further confirmed when investigators found skid marks extending about 216 meters from where the motorcycle hit the tree back to the point where it lost traction. And though the inquest concluded in May of 2023 with a verdict of death by misadventure, the racing world lost one of its most talented riders that day. The mechanic who had worked on the machine said in evidence that William Dunlop would not have taken that bike out in the condition it was in if he had known what was wrong with it. Despite the tragedy, on Saturday, after consulting with William's family, the Lushiny Motorcycle Supporters Club made the decision to go ahead with races on Sunday. Today we race for William, not just at Skerries, but everywhere, his teammate Paul tweeted before the race. On July 11, 2018, William's funeral was held at Gary Duff Presbyterian Church near Ballymoney, the same church where his uncle Joey had been buried 18 years earlier. Life's pretty unfair sometimes. Feel on top of the world one minute, then brought back down to earth the next with the sad news that William Dunlop lost his life racing today. Carl Fogarty, one of the legends from the racing world, said while expressing his grief. In the following months, fans across the country set up a fundraiser for William's family, where they reportedly raised over £15,000. On February 25, 2022, a life-sized bronze statue of William was unveiled at the Dunlop Memorial Gardens in Ballymoney, crafted by Scottish sculptor David Anand. It stands there now alongside the statues of Joey and Robert, 3 generations of the same family cast in bronze on the same street in the same town that produced all of them. Looking back on his life, it's clear that William Dunlop was one of the finest racers the sport had ever known. In fact, he was the embodiment of a true legend in road racing. And like we always say, legends never die, they ride on. So rest in peace, William Dunlop.